Welcome to the Culture Edit. Unique perspectives into the personal and professional lives of individuals at the helm of successful business, athletics, art, and design. Welcome to the Culture Edit. It is Sunday. We're doing what we said we weren't going to do.
Yep.
Which is record on Sunday.
Yeah.
But I feel fine.
Yeah.
One of us feels great. One of us celebrated the football game yesterday a little too much.
Florida State, Miami. It's a big weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go Noles. All is right in the world when the Noles are 10-0 and beating Miami.
Exactly. But the reason, but we actually do have a good reason that we didn't record on Friday. One, we were getting a ton of work done, and then we had a reservation at Atlas in Buckhead, a Michelin star restaurant, which we're not going to get into on this podcast.
That's right. We're not getting into it.
Exactly. We're not getting into it. We're saving it for one of our individual.
We're still processing what we experienced.
We are processing the experience still.
Yeah.
Slow processing power on that one.
So we told everyone we're going to go to the restaurants that got the Michelin star. So it's happening.
Round one.
Yep. We actually went to Buckhead twice this week.
We did. We had a networking event before that.
Which is like, it's so unusual for us to go to Winterfell twice in 1 week.
Up the
Kings Road, not quite past the wall, but pretty far north.
But what was cool is we did see that there's a Christmas market that they're setting up in Buckhead near the village. So I actually want to go check that out.
Yeah. So normally the past 2 years we've gone to Paris and just for the Christmas markets. Now we don't even need to go to Paris.
We don't even just go to Buckhead Village. I imagine the crowd will be slightly different.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, ventured north of the wall a couple times this week.
Actually, not north of the wall.
Okay, ventured to the middle point between the south and the north wall.
Yeah.
But in other news, really exciting, I got into the Miami Half Marathon. I say got into lightly because it wasn't just like, oh, I won the lottery and I got in. It was actually me tracking down race entry, selling the race entries.
It's why we're recording on Sundays, because you spent so much time trying to get into the Miami Marathon.
I was messaging so many people, but I found someone. They sold me their transferred their race entry to me. So we're going down to Miami last weekend of January. Already booked the Airbnb, staying in the design district, bringing the dogs down, driving down for the week. It's gonna be awesome.
9-hour drive. Can't wait.
Bringing the bikes too. So we will be riding.
Yeah. So all our Miami friends, we will see you in January.
Very excited because this is maybe the longest we've gone without visiting Miami.
For sure.
Mainly because we've had 2 sick dogs all year. They've had various health issues, and that's kept us grounded in Atlanta if we're not traveling for work.
Can't wait to see the new Zeal
Cafe.
I'm
so excited. I'm so excited. So that'll be really fun. Before we move on, question to all my people that just listen to music. So I have the Chorus Watch.
People that listen to music?
Yeah, so like everyone.
I have a question for people that listen to music. Okay.
This is a broad question.
Okay.
If you run with a running watch, like a Garmin or a Chorus or whatever.
Or a Wahoo.
But my point is I have the Chorus, but I have to download music to my computer and then transfer it to the Chorus so that I don't have to bring my phone. I don't understand how people download music nowadays. Like, am I supposed to create a playlist on Spotify, then go seek out every individual song for 99 cents on Apple and then download each individual song just to create one playlist?
I feel like you can Google this and not ask our listeners on the podcast.
I feel like I need answers.
Okay. I'll give you an answer as soon as we're done.
Okay.
That's called Google.
Thanks.
Our chat GPT.
Chad GPT. That's what you're here for.
All right.
That's been our weekend so far. We haven't done too much.
Well, I do want to welcome all our Pulte listeners, because I guarantee you we've got a lot of first-time listeners to this podcast.
Welcome, Pulte.
Because of our esteemed guest. Yeah. So welcome, Pulte.
All right. So let's jump into why we're here today, what we're doing, who we're talking to, because this is a long interview and we want to get right into it so you get the best part of this podcast.
Ryan Marshall is our guest today. He is the CEO of PulteGroup. For those that don't know, Pulte is one of the nation's largest home builders. They're the oldest home builder in America, national home builder, around, I think, $16-17 billion in revenue. This is a big company.
Billion.
Yeah, big company. We have worked with Pulte for years. They were actually one of our first clients when we started, and you'll hear us talk about that when we started our agency. They're a big part of what we do and why we do it. For Pulte, what we've done is really kind of the suite of services. We did a culture assessment, helped them develop and articulate their culture story. You'll hear Ryan talk about that. for us, Pulte is special because they do have such an amazing culture, and that's what we're going to talk a lot about. It's at first we're going to talk to Ryan like we normally do about his athletic achievements, but then we're going to get into some really good work-related stuff. So I think you're going to enjoy that a lot.
This has been a long time coming because, well, first we just wanted to actually get good or better at this whole podcasting thing and, get all the jitters out, I guess. But also Ryan is a very, very busy person. So we want to make sure that we're maximizing his time. And we really appreciate him driving all the way down from Buckhead to Inman Park to come to our studio to record this. Ryan's a good friend of ours. We talk about bike trips that we've gone on recently. We talk about how he makes the best pizza in the city of Atlanta, possibly in Georgia.
You talk about his dog?
We talk about Smokey, his dog. He and Natalie have a really sweet little French bulldog that will happily give you a nuzzle punch to the face, but really it's meant to be a loving kiss.
Yeah. Very vocal French bulldog.
Talk about our running endeavors, biking endeavors, and how in the world does he have so much time to do all this? Well, listen to the whole thing because he gives a lot of good productivity tips towards the end of the episode. And I think I don't even think it matters where you are in your career. You can always be more productive. So to hear someone who is so highly productive and getting so much done every day is inspiring.
And advice to young people too.
Yeah, and he gives great advice to young people.
Yeah, so tune in all the way to the end. And if this is a first time listen, welcome again, and make sure you subscribe and share and rate us.
Exactly. So without further ado, let's hop into the interview. Welcome to the Culture Edit, Ryan.
Great to be here. It's cool to be in your office. It's really hip.
Yeah.
It's the first time you've been here, which I couldn't remember.
Yeah, you asked
earlier
me.
Today. Well, because we've had a couple of Christmas parties, but I was like, I don't think Ryan's been here yet.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
I've seen photos,
Yeah.
but it's nice to be here in person.
Ventured down to the city.
And this
Yeah,
is
south of the wall.
South of
south
the wall.
I think it's great. It's got a great vibe outside, the little pizza spot, and feels really good. It's cool.
You would love that pizza.
that
by the way.
pizza's really good.
Yeah,
If I wasn't doing pizza night tonight with Natalie's family, I would definitely try it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's really, really good.
it's pretty renowned. Like it started as just a window. Still is just a window, but it was in a different location during COVID, and it just completely blew up.
It was
Oh, I read about that.
Exactly.
yeah, glide.
Guy,
That's it.
he moved from like Brooklyn or something.
Oh, well, maybe I'll have to try it just on the way out.
Yeah, just grab a slice, eat it on the. No one has to know.
Appetizer.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
And we got the kale salad, or not kale salad, the Caesar salad for lunch, and it's really good. They make the dressing there, and
Yeah.
it's pretty simple but good. So what are you training for right now?
Right now, we're training for the Naples half marathon. So we're in a running mode. As you guys know, I spend time on the bike, and then I tend to gravitate toward running for a little bit and then back to the bike. So
Yeah.
I'm in some weird form of transition between finishing training for the half marathon and then getting ready to get back on the bike.
Yeah.
Because I am going to do speed club this winter.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Big commitment.
All right, you said it. You put it out to the universe. That means
Wow.
you have to do it.
You came prepared to make some announcements. I like that.
That's it. Well, that motivates me because now I feel like I have to do more of Speed Club.
Exactly.
We'll wait for
Wow,
you to
that was me.
silence your
Sorry.
devices.
That was my
Co-host.
fault. So you just transitioned, though. You did Steamboat in August, and so then after that is whenever you went into running mode. Is that right?
So Natalie and I did the Nashville Marathon, the full marathon, in April.
That's right.
And as soon as that was over, I kind of got on the bike to prepare for Steamboat.
Yeah.
And my training was probably somewhat inadequate, but I made it and survived Steamboat. And then I transitioned back to the run, and we've had a few kind of twists and turns, but we're going to do the Naples half marathon, which we used to live down there. So we have a lot of friends, and that was a running club that we were pretty active in. So it'll be fun to do that race again. It's been a number of years since we've done that race.
It's how you met, right? Through that running club?
Yeah, Natalie and I met at a race. There's a running club there that's actually fantastic. You guys would love it, called the Naples Beer and Run Club.
Oh, yeah. Sounds good.
Great branding,
Yeah.
cool vibe, a lot of really, really cool people. And they're loosely affiliated with the kind of more mainstream run club there called Gulf Coast Runners. And Gulf Coast Runners does a 80-mile relay from Gulf of Mexico in Naples to the Gulf of Mexico in Fort Myers Beach and then back. So it's 40 miles up, 40 miles back.
Wow.
With 6-person team, kind of a Ragnar style
Yeah.
race format. And Natalie and I kind of met at the after party for the Gulf to Gulf 80.
I did make, so after the Chastain run that you kindly invited me to last week, which kind of made my calves very sore the next day because of all the hills, I made a Strava route out of it just in case you guys aren't here one weekend, but I actually want to go up there and run it. And I called it the Chastain Corn Maze. So
It's fantastic. It was perfectly planned out.
it was honestly, I was telling Chad, it was really fun.
And is it planned, or are you just making a decision when you get to an intersection? Let's go right here.
I know there are different segments that we've run enough that I know how long those segments are. So based on the amount of, or the number of miles that we're trying to do that day,
Yeah.
we'll cobble together different segments.
I'm going to make a Strava segment for Natalie's special half loop. there was
What is
this like tiny, I don't know. I hadn't been on the road, but it was by Chastain Park, but like off to the side. I hadn't been on this road before. And there's literally basically like a half circle, like you're pulling around out in front of our office.
Yeah.
But Natalie really likes to just get that, like,
It's an extra 25 feet.
yeah.
Okay.
But she likes to add on the extra 25
Just at the
feet.
end?
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a Strava segment that's Natalie's half circle. Or so I'll come up with
It's
more
very
creative.
similar to Ryan's Big Surge.
Ryan Big
Right,
Sur,
right.
Yeah.
Roswell Road.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I like making people their own special segments.
Also, you play tennis too? What else do you play?
No,
Okay.
no tennis for me.
Okay.
Natalie's big tennis
She's
player.
just the tennis. Okay.
I also am a pretty avid golfer, snow skier. Those are probably my big. So running, cycling, snow skiing, and golf are my kind of primary hobbies.
And you're someone who likes to have an event, like a goal. Like that's what drives the training.
I enjoy training. I just generally enjoy being fit and active, and it also allows me to eat and partake in frosty beverages that I enjoy. But yeah, I like having a goal, and I also enjoy. It's even better, similar to Steamboat, when there's a group of friends that are collectively working toward the goal.
Yeah.
And you can make it part social, and you've got real camaraderie, and you've also got something that fuels a competitive spirit as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Steamboat was so much fun.
It was a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Micah Rice, just letting you know we're coming back again.
The event was great, and I'm glad I did it. It was a long time coming, but I would definitely go again. They did a really nice job.
What is the hardest event you've done that stands out in your mind?
So I've done an Ironman, which I think the training for Ironman is probably harder than the event itself. But, you know, when you're doing kind of a long endurance event like an Ironman, I think it was definitely hard. But I think probably the hardest event I've ever done is 29029,
Oh, yeah.
which Natalie and I did together 2 or 3 years ago. So
Explain
Yeah,
what
cool
that
I
is.
didn't
event.
even know what that is.
We did it. It was hosted at the Sun Valley Ski Resort in the summer, and the idea is that you hike 29,029 feet, which is the equivalent of Mount Everest. And the way they set it up is you hike up the mountain, and then you ride the gondola or the ski lift back down, and you hike enough vertical feet to equal the equivalent of Mount Everest vertical. So we had 15 ascents to equal our 29,000 feet. They were just shy of 2,000 feet apiece.
Wow.
And you have 36 hours to finish the event. So we had a tent, kind of a glamping style tent, base camp, if you will, at the bottom of the mountain. And you can go straight through, you can break it up and do, you know, everything during the day. You know, it's kind of your choice on how you want to do it. It's not necessarily a race. It's more of a kind of an event. You're really competing against yourself, and it's more of an accomplishment type event.
Yeah.
Of course, just being a crazy competitor, we wanted to compete.
Right.
And, you know, there were some really fit people there that were also kind of competing. The combination of the physical and the mental made that the hardest event I think I've ever done.
I'd also really struggle with, Nikki knows this, I'd struggle with the gondola ride down too.
Yeah.
I'm not down with the gondola.
We did the Park City, like historic gondola. Thought he was gonna have a panic attack.
Yeah, I was. I don't like that thing.
I was like, "Oh, this will be really fun." And
Felt really rickety to
halfway
me.
through, he's just not saying anything, just no talking. And I look at him, and I'm like, "Are you okay?"
Did you put the bar down?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he's like,
And you were still white knuckling?
Yeah.
he's like, "I'm really
It
not
got
okay."
really high, like from the ground. It got really high.
Yeah.
That thing is rickety. Let's talk about your other passion, the culinary arts.
Chez Marshall.
We do love to cook. I
Yeah.
love to cook, yes.
Yeah. Where does that come from?
I think I got it from my mom.
Okay.
My mom still is a fantastic cook, so we grew up with really great food. I don't know that I ever necessarily participated growing up, but I was definitely an observer.
Yeah.
And then just as an adult, we love food. We love eating out in great restaurants and kind of finding unique, authentic places that have got, the local vibe of the city that you're in. Atlanta just got, Michelin stars. I think it's highlighting some of the food culture in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I'm actually more into kind of low-key cooking more so than I am kind of fancy Michelin stars.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've as a couple, Natalie and I enjoy doing it together. I've enjoyed cooking for the kids on the weekend, whether it's breakfast or things, tailgate type stuff before a football game, or nice Sunday dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, you have almost everything you need for multiple professional kitchens: the pizza oven, the giant smoker.
He likes to cook.
But tell us the truth, because I'm still convinced that you make the best pizza in this city.
Wow.
And I'm not even exaggerating. Like I think about the pizza all the time. What is your secret to making the amazing pizza?
So it was a lot of trial and error. I had never done pizza before, and we went to a friend's house 6 or 7 years ago, and they had a pizza oven, and they did a pizza night. And I left and said, I'm going to figure out how to do that. So I bought our first wood burning pizza oven, and I started experimenting. There were a lot of bad pizza nights.
Yeah.
There was,
A
nights
lot of flop.
it was a lot of work, a lot of prep, a lot of build up, and then there wasn't necessarily great things to kind of eat at the end of it. And some of my personality is I'm a very curious individual, and I'm really into perfecting a skill.
Yeah.
So when I set my mind to something, I will work at it until I feel like I've gotten it perfect. So it was a lot of failures along the way. I did a fair amount of kind of reading, trying to find recipes, combining parts of recipes that I thought might work together. And eventually I kind of settled in on a dough recipe that I really like. It's pretty easy. It's simple. It's literally flour, water, salt, and a little teeny bit of yeast.
Huh.
And the secret is it's got to sit in the fridge for 48 hours.
Huh.
I've tried it for 24. It's not the same.
Nope.
You got to go the full 48 or more. And then just other than that, it's a lot of technique as well in letting things kind of get to the right temperature before you try to roll the dough or stretch the dough.
Yeah.
Good sauce, which is just fresh tomatoes and salt, and then don't overtop the pizza. That's the cardinal. That's a sin you don't want to make.
Yeah. Keep it simple. Yeah. You and Nikki both share that obsessive experimentation.
Yeah.
Philosophy.
Once I find something that I really enjoy, I want to know everything about it or perfect it.
Yeah.
I do get in trouble at home sometimes.
So does she.
Because sometimes I'll get something perfected, and then in this quest to try and find the next best thing or the next great thing,
Yeah.
I'll experiment and it won't turn out as well, and I'll get called out for why did we feel that it was necessary to experiment.
I understand that. I have the same comments.
Well, and I'll also perfect something and make it, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, that was so amazing." And then I'll just kind of throw it. I'll be like, "I'm never making that again." I'll just be like, "Oh yeah, okay, now on to the next thing to try and perfect." And he'll say, "What about that one thing that you made a year ago that I love?"
The spatchcock chicken.
Oh yeah, that's just kind of a pain, but yeah.
I've started to, once I get something dialed in, I've made it, a keeper recipe, and I've stopped experimenting on things that I know work.
Yeah, that's the hard thing.
It is.
Stop before you get ahead of yourself.
Is there anything else you prefer to cook over pizza?
I love barbecue. So I haven't totally perfected brisket.
Yeah.
That's something that I've gotten close on, but I'm obsessed about Aaron Franklin and some of the Texas barbecue places that, I think are world renowned. I'd love to be able to do brisket like that, but it's a major investment of time.
Yeah. That's like days of cooking, right? I mean,
it's 12 to 14 hours,
Yeah.
but by the time you prep it, and it also is one of those weird things with 12 to 14 hours of smoking time, depending on when you want to eat it, you're cooking during the night.
Yeah.
Or staying up late or waking up early, which is tricky as well. So it's definitely a commitment, but
Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot of time to
I've got tons and tons of extra time, but,
unlimited time.
but I do work things in on weekends and things like that.
Yeah. Since you brought it up, have you been to any of the restaurants that got Michelin stars?
No.
Yeah, us either.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we will soon.
We don't know anyone that's been to any of them.
Atlas and
except for my
Elizabeth.
sister.
Yeah, his sister of all people has been to one of the Japanese.
Did Atlas get a star?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I've been to Atlas.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
How was it?
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean,
like fine dining.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Chastain got a couple of mentions.
Mm-hmm.
It's, one of those neighborhood vibe places where the bartenders and the staff, and it just feels super comfortable, and it's kind of in our neighborhood, so that's a place that we love to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like our Del Bar is your
Right.
Chastain.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Real quick, why when we said my sister, you said of all people? I think we need to clarify that.
Your
She
sister's
does
gonna
listen
get
to the
mad at me
podcast.
because they don't live in Atlanta.
Okay.
They
just
no, I said of all, well,
Did
Betsy.
she call you, Chad?
Betsy,
No,
you
but-
don't respond to my text messages, so I'm calling you out here. On the
I just want to
and B,
put that on the record
Nikki's creating family drama.
of all people.
no, they're not drama.
Yeah.
But it's because they don't live here.
Yeah, they live in Athens.
And so that's why I was like, wow,
Watkinsville.
like we live in Atlanta, we haven't been to any of these, and they live in Watkinsville and have been to one of the ones that
Mujo.
Yeah, Mujo,
Yeah.
which is a Castellucci Group restaurant, which we've been to every other Castellucci Group restaurant.
Yeah.
Besides that one.
Let's talk about work.
Let's talk about work.
It's a good segue.
We've obviously worked with Pulte for a while, and we know your culture pretty well, and we visit a lot of locations, and Chad and I constantly, any of our clients will tell us we sing praises of Pulte from a culture perspective.
Other clients get annoyed.
They
hearing
get
about Pulte.
annoyed.
But you are renowned for your culture. Like this isn't just our independent opinion. I mean, you're renowned. You have all the scores are in the top percentile from Gallup, and you've been recognized by Fortune 100. It's a great place to work. So it's not just our opinion.
No, not just
Yeah.
our opinion, but I think our question and what a lot of people want to know is what is it like to actually work for Pulte? From your perspective, from the average employee perspective, what makes it so great?
I think it's a great question. And I guess first, thanks for the shout outs and the kudos. It is a really neat culture, and it's an amazing place to work. I think first and foremost, it starts with the industry that we're in. Mm-hmm. And there's something pretty magical about being involved in helping individuals realize their version of the American dream.
Yeah.
Being able to start with literally nothing, a dirt lot or a dirt field, and you turn it into a community, and eventually it turns into homes where people live, and you see communities and friendships being built. There's something pretty magical about that. Mm-hmm. So we talk a lot about having real purpose in what it is that we do. And I think when you talk to individuals that are thinking about career choices, one of the things that constantly comes up is I want to do something that's got meaning. And I think we definitely have that. Beyond that though, I think we have this wonderful combination of being a big company that has the resources and the stability and the infrastructure of a big company, but we've hung on to a bit of an entrepreneurial spirit and a family kind of vibe, or a really authentic kind of team vibe, small team vibe that I think permeates our culture. So, when I talk about what our culture's like and what it's like to work there, Nikki, to the question that you asked, it's a really collaborative, authentic, team-minded, team-first environment with a team that wants to win. So there's a lot of really competitive people there, but they're competitive as a team as opposed to being super competitive and political and kind of undermining that sometimes you see in a lot of corporate cultures. You know, somebody said to me once, they're like, there's just a lot of nice people that work here.
Yeah.
And it's true. Individuals that don't embody that team first mentality tend not to do very well in our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've seen that because you definitely have a really nice leadership team all the way down to everyone we've met, working in the field. And I think one thing that also stands out to us is how visible the leadership team is. Is that just part of the culture? Like a leader, if they're not visible, they just won't work out? Or how do you inspire other leaders like yourself to be visible?
When you think about our business, it's totally distributed. We have 950 active selling neighborhoods or communities. And those 950 communities are spread out across 31 operating divisions or 31 business units that we have. So just the way that you have to be successful in home building is you're constantly out and about on different job sites, in different sales centers, in different construction offices. And so I think there's a little bit of just the way the business works that forces you to be a very visible and kind of present leader. And it's also something that I think is just one of our kind of core values, that we are, it's a roll up your sleeves, everybody pitch in, everybody help out, everybody part of, making it happen. And so I think that's another part of it that makes that possible.
Yeah. And, what stands out to us when you talk about that entrepreneurial spirit, it's so strong in an organization that is large. You've got how many, 6,000 employees now?
6,700.
6,700 employees, over 31 operating divisions across the country. We have clients that want to maintain or even keep their entrepreneurial spirit at a fraction of that size, and they're terrified that they're not going to be able to do that. What we always talk about when we're talking about Pulte, and I'm proposing this, you tell me if I'm right or wrong, a big component of why people feel that way is because you've pushed decision-making ability down to the front line almost, to where each of those communities, they're making decisions for their customers. Is that a big part of it, you think?
It is, Chad. And what I think makes it work for us is we've been very clear and deliberate on the things that we're going to do the same way. And it comes back to some of the things that you and Nikki helped us with when we worked on our culture story. It was about really articulating the non-negotiables. And on things that are non-negotiable, like the quality of the home that we build, the experience that we want to create for our customers, we have some pretty strict guidelines that we ask our team members to follow and play by. And then there are a lot of things that, candidly, we like having a unique and local flavor to, and we let smart people make really good decisions and run great businesses. And so oftentimes we'll talk about freedom within a framework.
Yeah.
Or having guardrails where you define the left and the right, and then you let really bright people make kind of decisions. And I think that's the other thing that really creates high engagement, is when you let creative, talented people make good decisions and see the benefits of those decisions, or in some cases, the failures of those.
Yeah.
That's what I think makes life great, is we're always learning as human beings. No different than when, going back to the athletic conversation, when you're training, sometimes you have a great training session, sometimes you have a great race, sometimes you try new equipment or new tires or new shoes or new nutrition, and it works great, and you've unlocked this magic thing. And other times it turns into an epic failure, and you learn from that. But I think that's one of those things that makes life unique. We also talk about the fact that we're always problem solving, and I often like to talk to our employees about something that I read in a book not too long ago that said, when you're done solving problems, or life is about solving problems, and when you're not solving problems anymore, you're probably not really living.
Yeah.
And I think we have that mentality inside of our company as well.
Curiosity.
100% curiosity.
Yeah.
Lifelong learners, really being curious about how can I do something better, even if it's just the kind of 1% better or micro improvements each and every day.
Yeah.
And I think that type of behavior is so contagious, because when you think about what you just said, it goes back to what you said a few minutes ago, where you are a lifelong learner. You're obsessed with learning everything and being, perfecting a craft. I think that probably transcends to the rest of your leadership team, which then trickles down to everyone else. And when you see other people wanting to, learn more, it's very inspiring. If you surround yourself with those
Yeah.
types of people, it's definitely a contagious behavior.
Energizing.
For sure.
Yeah. So in that regard, you focus on hiring really smart people. Another piece that I think we notice that stands out to us is the amount of investment that Pulte's made in onboarding and training, like a tremendous training program where you're effectively taking folks that aren't even in the industry and you're teaching them how to build homes. Like that's pretty empowering too. Inspiring. Is that a big part of it?
It's a math and huge shout out to our entire organizational learning and development group. They do an amazing job. We've got programs at every level, from the new hire, as you mentioned, and we've got about 10 years ago we started a corporate centered or corporate centric new hire training program for our sales professionals and for our construction managers. And it's a combination of having a mentor in the local city where you work or the local division where you work, combined with some classroom type learning that happens at our corporate office here in Atlanta. And to your point, we love to hire bright, talented individuals that are coming out of college or out of some other kind of vocational program that are a great culture fit. And even if they don't have specific expertise in building a home, we can teach that. Depending on how hungry somebody is for a learning opportunity, you can go from never having built anything to being a really good project manager or construction manager.
Talked to so many people that said, never in my life did I think I was going to being a home builder. And I've been here my whole career now. And they're super excited about that. They don't get bored with it.
Well, and it goes back to what you were saying about the purpose. When you have this great purpose of building places for people to live their dreams,
incredible places
for people to live their dreams, I think it becomes addicting. Like, how could you ever go work somewhere else that doesn't have as great of a purpose?
I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that have great purpose, and you hear, folks, they want to work in healthcare where they're saving lives, or they want to work in law enforcement for the FBI and catch bad guys. I think what we're doing in helping build these places where people can live their dreams is a pretty amazing kind of purpose-filled company, and it's a cool spot. Similar to you, Chad, I wasn't sure, because my degree was in accounting. I had a brief stint as an entrepreneur where I owned a gas station, and I thought I was going to build this petroleum empire, and I decided to pivot and go do some other things. And I went back to graduate school, and it was out of graduate school that I ended up at Pulte. And that's a story for another day.
I don't think we know this story.
How I ended up there,
Yeah.
but I've been there for 23 years now, and I love what we do. But part of the reason that it's so great is there is never the same challenge 2 days in a row, and it's because you're constantly having to reinvent ourselves. When we open up a neighborhood of 125 homes, once you've built those 125 homes, we literally have to move the entire sales and construction operations to another location, a different city, a different part of town. And while some of the challenges have got similar flavors, there's always unique and unanticipated challenges that you've never had to solve, which is one of the things that makes the industry, I think, so appealing to me as a person.
Yeah,
definitely. So, we've talked about what makes Pulte really special from a culture perspective. Something we talk about a lot especially on this podcast, is the importance of leaders being predictable when they show up every day. And whether that's in a board meeting or a one-on-one with, someone at a different level, it's kind of what people count on, is that predictability. And that's what seems to make a good leader. We've noticed that you and your leadership team, very smart, all very strategic, but also very even keel when it comes to communication style and how you react to things?
You guys, I think it's a great question, and I probably do take it for granted because so many of our leaders inside of our company do embody that type of leadership style. My style in the office is kind of the same style I have at home.
Yeah.
Or the same style that I have on the weekend when I'm out running or cycling with friends. I don't have different personalities that I don when I'm in different environments. And then I think all of us as people, when we look to individuals that we consider a leader at a company or a leader in a group, you value the stability that comes with predictable leaders. And so to me, it's more than just a leadership characteristic that I think you'd want in the corporate world. I think it's kind of just basic
Being nice.
Yeah.
yeah, and it goes back to some of the things
Yeah.
that I said earlier about in our culture. I think we generally tend to be nice, and that doesn't mean that we don't want to kind of achieve and excel at a crazy high level. We do, and that's one of the things that I'm also super proud of our company. Not only do we have an amazing culture that's very nice, we're also delivering unbelievable financial results for our shareholders as well. So I think you can, they say, nice guys finish last. I don't know if that necessarily has to be the case.
One thing that I thought was really cool was when we were in Steamboat and you ran into one of the employees that works at Pulte. He recognized you, and you obviously have a lot of employees. You can't possibly memorize every single person's face, but when he recognized you and he said, "Hey, Ryan, I work for Pulte," you obviously took a lot of interest in that, and you spoke with him. But I remember it was maybe like a couple hours later, or maybe it was after the race. I don't know. I asked Chad, where's Ryan? Because he's like, gone. You're gone.
He went to go find his guy.
And you were like, he went to go find, the guy who works for Pulte because he wanted to talk to him longer. And it hit me right. Like, you didn't have to, like, you're out here on vacation too, trying to prepare for a race. I just thought that was one of the coolest things. Tell us that story a little bit so everyone can know.
Yeah, so I did the 100-mile, what was it, the blue course?
Yeah.
It was in Steamboat with you guys, and Alan, our friend Alan that's on our team, Alan did the black 140-mile, which they started early at 6:30. So I went down to the start line with Alan that morning just to check it out, and I was up early, and I was walking down with a cup of coffee, and this gentleman named Aaron works for our mortgage company that's based in Denver. And while I was walking down the street, somebody yelled my name, and I turned around, and it was a guy that I didn't know. And he introduced himself and said, "Oh, I work for the mortgage company." And so we had a nice chat. I met his parents, really nice people. And it's something that I really enjoy. We have, because we have 31 divisions that are spread out all over the country. I do travel a fair amount, and probably half the time when I'm in cities, I spend in our sales offices and construction offices. And I just enjoy meeting people that are really making it happen for our company. They're selling homes, they're building homes, they're developing land. You learn about the challenges that they're having, sometimes at a personal level, but oftentimes it's at a professional level. And if you can connect with them as a person, they're much more willing to open up with ideas of things that we could do better, or to offer up challenges that they're having that potentially I can solve. And I think that's, or help solve. And I think that's one of the things that we've got to do as leaders is I think one of my number one jobs is to help remove barriers and obstacles that are in the way of our company accomplishing the goals that we have.
With that in mind, like thinking about those folks like Aaron out there, you grew up in a small town in Utah. Your dad was a veterinarian. Probably never thought, hey, one day I'm going to be the CEO of Pulte, right? Probably wasn't on the radar. You have to
I think that's a safe statement, Chad.
Is it ever like you have those like surreal moments, like how did I get here? And man, I'm hoping I'm making the right decisions. And man, I'm glad I've got this leadership team supporting me. Like, talk us through what that's like.
Yeah. So there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
I did grow up in a small town. The town that I grew up in had about 10,000 people, 2 stoplights, one high school, one McDonald's. It was that type of town. When I was in second, third, and fourth grade, we moved to a town that had 150 people. We were on a large ranch. My dad was a veterinarian, and it was a large ranch that had several thousand head of cattle. We had our own gas pumps on the ranch for the tractors and the trucks and things like that.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to go to the grocery store, it was an hour drive. So there was a certain amount of problem solving and making the best out of situations in that type of environment where you had to improvise and problem solve in a way that I'm not sure you have to do if you've got all the conveniences of the modern world right at your fingertips. So in terms of, ending up in the role that I'm in today, one of my kind of personal values is work ethic. And so I've always worked hard to excel at the highest level that I think I possibly can and to push myself. And that, I think, crosses over between what I do as an amateur athlete and what I do as a professional in the workplace as well. And then probably the last thing, another, one of my kind of core values as a person is integrity, and always trying to do what I think is right. And right for me, right for my family, right for the people around me that are depending on me, and even maybe right for an adversary on the other side of the table. I think you want to be kind of a good person to everybody around you. One of the core values that we have as a company is to do the right thing. And we also talk a lot with our employees about, in our culture story, is the idea of trust that empowers you. To tie all this together, if you're doing the thing that you feel is right, and you feel like your organization has empowered you and given you, they trust you and they've empowered you to make a decision, it's some of the things that makes our culture so unique as well.
And so if you had to give advice, business advice, because I think we could probably give you, your younger self all kinds of worldly advice. But if it's business advice, one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Or to young people today?
I was very career motivated. I wanted to progress. I wanted to, do more. But some advice that I got early on, and I'd give it to, younger people today too, is you've got to be really good at the job you have. So focus on the task at hand, whatever it is. Sometimes the focus becomes, I want to be promoted.
Yeah.
And the focus needs to be on, I've got a job to do, and how do I do that job the best I possibly can? And the promotions will take care of themselves. So that'd be the first thing, is excel at the job that's in front of you. The other piece of advice would be a great teammate. A lot of times inside of our organization, the individuals that I see getting more opportunities and getting promoted, it's because their teammates are advocating for them.
Yep.
Because number one, they're good at their job, and number two, they're a great teammate. And so their teammates say, that individual is excellent, let's give them more, or they should get more to do, and that turns into a promotion. And then probably the last thing, and it doesn't work for everybody, but for me in my career, I was willing to move, and I was willing to take opportunities that gave me different experiences that ultimately led to where I am today. But it did mean that I've lived in different cities, and there are a lot of pros and cons to that.
So yeah, hard work, being a good teammate, which we talk about a lot, like with younger people, about building relationships.
Well, you know what? Well, when you say that, it just sparked an idea. When we interviewed, again, one of Chad's friends and a very, very successful employment lawyer earlier this week. And one of the things he said that he did earlier, that he advises people, is along those lines of being a good teammate. So when he first joined the firm, he basically, was tasked with going out and bringing back clients. And he's like, well, I'm a baby lawyer. How am I going to convince people to hire me as a lawyer? So he said, well, I just looked to the rest of my team that had more experience. And I started going out and saying, you need to hire my teammate, or you need to hire my boss. And he said he learned all of what they were really skilled at, his team was really skilled at, and he was just promoting his team. And now he's the, head of the law firm. And so it's just that putting others first and recognizing others' abilities in turn can make you successful because you're in it for the team and not just yourself. I thought that was interesting.
Great advice.
Yeah.
What he said.
Hard work, be a good teammate, and take advantage
chances.
of opportunities. Yeah. Put me in coach,
100%.
not in the back of the plane, in the game.
We're never going to let Linda live that one down.
I think it was my misinterpretation of it.
No, I thought she was talking about the back of a plane too.
Yeah, okay.
Well, one thing I just want to know personally is how do you have time to manage
Yeah,
all
this
of
is her
this?
number one question for
Because
you.
all the time I'm like, he has 3 kids, he has a wife, he has a very needy dog. A very needy dog.
Smokey.
She is high maintenance.
Smokey's high
Yes.
maintenance.
Yeah.
But I love her.
Oh yeah,
She's a great dog.
everyone that meets Smokey loves Smokey. She needs people.
Yeah.
She's like Hutch, very needy. You know, you're always training for stuff. You're always, I mean, I feel like you're never letting anyone down. You put everyone first. How do you make time to do all of this without completely losing it?
It's a good question, Nikki. Some of it's the way I'm wired. I like being busy and I like being productive. I have a hard time sitting. You know, I definitely don't get to everything that I need to, and I've got a propensity to try and put 10 pounds into a 5-pound bag, and I've convinced myself the 5-pound bag can hold it and it won't break. And sometimes that's not true, but I a couple of things that I started doing about a decade ago. I read a book called Getting Things Done. It goes into this idea of a weekly planning session. So I spend about an hour and a half. I usually do it on Friday mornings, and it's essentially you tear apart kind of all of your open loops, all of your to-do lists, all of your projects. You know, you look at your calendar, you go through all of your notes and everything, and you make it a priority. I try to make it a priority every Friday to go through and plan out my next week and the week after that. So I do that pretty religiously. I use a couple of different kind of apps and different systems to try and stay on top of the open loops.
Anything you want to share?
The one that I like the best right now is called Todoist. And then I use a lot of the philosophies in the Getting Things Done book. And then I've set priorities around the things that are important to me. And most importantly, to be a great husband and father, be great at my job, and then to take care of myself, both mentally and physically. And a big part of the physical side are the things that I do as an athlete, you know, whether it's running or biking or you know, doing something outside.
And that Friday morning
Planning session.
evaluation, are you doing that in the app?
So I carry a spiral-bound single-subject notebook.
You look like you're going to biology class.
Yeah.
I wondered
exactly.
that when you walked in with
You've
the
never seen him do that before?
I flunked out of biology. But yeah, I carry the single subject spiral-bound notebook. I make a lot of notes in there, and then I transfer those notes either into Todoist or onto my calendar. I'm a little bit of a productivity junkie.
Well, you know, we could go on and on, but maybe we'll have a second session to dig into this even more. But we really appreciate you coming in and coming to the studio too.
It was great to be here.
Yeah.
This has been great.
On a
You guys are
Friday.
doing great work, and it's been so nice for our company to have you guys as partners and helping to define and better communicate our culture story. Because, you know, as you guys know, when we first started working together, we would say that a lot of our employees would describe it as a great place to work, but when you really pressed on it, it was difficult to articulate. And that was one of the, among others, it was one of the magical things that I think you guys really helped us unlock, was telling that story in a really clear and concise way.
Well, we greatly appreciate you saying that. And
we had a great time doing it.
Pulte is a special client to us. If you remember, the timing right before we started that work was when we had gone through and survived the mass shooting. And so for us, it was really buckling down and thinking about our purpose and why we wanted to do this. And it was going into Pulte and meeting your people that were like, okay, this is definitely exactly what we want to do.
This is what we're meant to do.
These people care a lot, and we can make an impact. So.
Well, and you guys remember this when we started the work, knew we had a great culture. We wanted to articulate it in a better way. And we wanted to be recognized by Fortune as a top 100 best company to work for. And you guys were part of that journey that we started. You know, we've now been on Fortune's top 100 best companies to work for 3 years in a row, which is pretty cool, and we're really proud of that. And in the last issue of the list, we were all the way up to number 36, which we feel great about.
It's amazing.
It's awesome. Well-deserved recognition, for sure.
Thank you so much for your
It's a
time.
motorcycle drive-by, baby, dry condoms. I think it's about time we headed home.